Okay, so welcome everybody to this AutoCAD 2017 presentation. It's great to have the opportunity to do this every year. We make the opportunity at the user groups traditionally, and of course more recently with good webinar technologies also at the online head of the user group. Very much understand that people will be behind one or two releases. Sometimes people can be behind a little bit more than that. But I'm going to be able to fill the hour with just matters 2017, try to mention a few things that are around from earlier releases and perhaps things that you won't be familiar with that they've developed further again. And in fact, if you do jump from an earlier release, say you're coming from 2014 or 15, then the sort of relatively small incremental changes across each release really significantly add up. So let's start having a look just in PowerPoint at a few of the bullet points to do with the new AutoCAD. So first of all, under the banner of the simplifications to the product, the two main bullet points here really are the licensing side of things is very much easier now. They have, of course, Autodesk made quite a few changes in the way that the licensing works. Perpetual licenses are something that are beginning to be phased out by many companies. I know Microsoft and Adobe, for example, have been doing a subscription kind of offering, meaning that you can just pay as you go. You don't have to invest relatively significant amounts of money up front for those licenses, which will stay with you forever, whether you need them or not. And managing your licenses through the subscription center has never been easier. And in terms of the user interface, we often, as developers, call it the UI. If you hear that acronym, then the user interface, that's what we mean. A lot of redesign dialogues, more on that later. So again, under the banner of being personalized, there is a great migration tool. We've seen the migration tool for many years, in fact, in AutoCAD, but this is a lot simpler to use, a lot easier to understand. Again, I've got some screenshots of that. And in terms of keeping your product up to date, something that the whole industry, the whole software industry is really looking at more, I'm sure you're very familiar on your smartphones to see the updates available, and those can just be clicked on and you're constantly getting new functionality, and anything that gets reported in terms of problems within the software can get fixed relatively easily. Now I know that for a lot of people they don't have permissions on their machine to install the updates, whether that be bug fixes or new functionality, but the Autodesk Desktop App will alert you to the presence of those. And again, under the banner of being connected, they've done a lot of work over the last few releases on PDF files, still supporting the drawing web format files, the DWFs, which are really mainly designed for geometry, and PDFs weren't really designed for that at all, but particularly when PDF files have been created from AutoCAD, enabling you to connect with, to share your designs across the organization or to clients, then they will contain a lot more data, be a lot richer. And in this latest version of AutoCAD, importing PDF files has never been more intelligent, and I can show you some of the great features that they've brought in 2017 there. BIM is the big acronym of the moment, of course. That's short for Building Information Modeling. Comes from the building industry principally, but actually being able to coordinate designs, modeled, the models of the world, buildings or roads, infrastructure and so on, and coordinate them together to bring various disciplines work into one place and register them back in AutoCAD to help inform your design. There have been some improvements on those. Navisworks is the piece of software that Autodesk have to offer, which can consume a very wide range of file types, whether that be MicroStation or SolidWorks or whatever that might be. Okay, so looking at the License Manager, first of all, just pop through to a few screenshots of how that process works. And particularly if you do have a computer at home, you want to try the software ahead of what you have ahead of your opportunity to try it in work, then it's very straightforward to install that, get a trial license. You can see the blue link at the bottom there. Start a trial, 30 days, full functionality, 30-day trial. effectively, these days, the word trial perhaps is a little bit redundant. It is really a free 30-day term. Term-based licensing is something that Autodesk have brought in over the last year or two. So you get your 30-day trial, and converting that to a full license is very straightforward. So you click on the enter a serial number. That takes you through the privacy statement, and then you've got the page to either run with your 30-day trial or enter an activation code. So this screen essentially is the one you get by clicking Activate. Now, even with Subscription Center, which you can use the manage.autodesk.com URL, the link into your browser, you'll find that the serial numbers should be emailed out to you in time for the new release to appear. So we put that serial number in, the product key, and then once it's connected through to the web, then it will obviously report, thank you for activating, and you can start to use the product in full. Now, it is these days all about cloud computing. It's making sure that you have your designs accessible on any machine, on any version of AutoCAD, I should say not version of AutoCAD, but on any installation of AutoCAD. Perhaps you're in a situation where you have hot desking and you pick up a laptop from the cupboard and you start up AutoCAD, and then you can just sign in. So particularly with the subscription these days, the intention really is that it's very personalized to you, and therefore you can log in and all of your content that you have will be available to you saved up to the cloud. The offering there is Autodesk 360. You'll often see that as A360, and that is the that has a presence also within the AutoCAD environment. I can show you that as we go through. So the other thing under simplified really is the kind of thing that it certainly is a big wow factor for me. More on that later. So just moving on from that, as I say, we'll come back to the dialogues and show you a lot of those. So the migration tool, that's something that we've seen in previous version of AutoCAD. I think in 2015 there was this screen as well. So it's a little bit more attractive, a little bit more straightforward to make your selections. And hopefully you can see on here you've got the ability to migrate your user profiles, the menu system, and so on. We do recommend that the user profiles are not migrated, because that's something that if you are using an add-on, particularly our products, that we can set up for you. Now, if you've got an installation of a product that you know supports the latest version of AutoCAD, we're just about to release KeySign. It will be released ahead of the 22nd of April TSRGD 2016 date. Hopefully that will be actually today or tomorrow, certainly this week, ahead of the 22nd date. Then in time, maybe in a month or two, you might get your AutoCAD. You don't have to reinstall KeySign. You just run a little program which is named profile, profile.exe, and that will set up your user profile for you. So that's something that you don't need to migrate, but you might have some customization. So CUI is the customize the user interface. That's the acronym there. But you also might have template drawings that contain the layers that you use a lot, or maybe a boundary of your local authority area. Command aliases, a good thing to be able to migrate, maybe keyboard shortcuts that you like personally, line types, hatch patterns, that sort of thing. So you can select them all or individually. And as you can see at the top there in blue, there's a list that says AutoCAD 2014, and that does enable you to migrate settings from a number of earlier releases of AutoCAD if you happen to have them on your system. Once that's done, it will open up a little window in Internet Explorer. You can see a local file is created that you can open up anytime. You might like to bookmark that, but at this point, obviously, you can just use IE's Internet Explorer's print capability just to remind yourself later on what it was exactly that you customized. And the paths, so the long file paths there, for example, to the customized user interface files, the CUI files, in case you wanted to migrate them to another machine as well. Now back to just Autodesk 360 for a minute, saving to the cloud. With your subscription, you can actually save some of these options and customizations up to the cloud. So we're going to take a little look at the Autodesk Desktop App. I think we've got a screenshot of it here, and one of the things you can actually see on this was taken probably a few days ago. The second one down there is AutoCAD 2017 Hotfix. So yep, they have already found some things that should be resolved, and those have indeed been resolved. So they are going to be much more reactive to resolve issues that get reported to them. But the good news is really with 2016, over the year, we only actually got up to Hotfix number 3. So there are a lot of tools these days for testing software, and they are increasingly giving us reliability and stability with the software. Just going to take a moment just to see if we have any questions. No, so that's good. But do please feel free to let me know if there's anything you'd like me to talk about. So that's the Autodesk Desktop App. I will actually just come out briefly out of PowerPoint here and show where that is started. So you're now seeing my desktop, obviously the slides that we've looked at in PowerPoint there. And down on the system tray, you've got the little show hidden icons link there at the bottom. That's what we call in Windows the system tray. And up on here, we've got one for the Autodesk Desktop App. Seems to have disappeared on me at the moment. As you can see, some things have just popped out, so I'm just going to put Autodesk Desktop App and pick that from the Start menu. Nice little help edit box there to help me find content. So here is the Desktop App just loading up now, and that will show that there's actually a shared reference point update there. And if I pop down to the various different elements of that, we've got some ones that might be specific to AutoCAD, which I've already installed, so we've got no updates available there. But if you happen to have Civil 3D on your system as well, or mechanical or Map 3D, then so you can get directly to that content. Now, in fact, with Civil 3D and Map 3D, they are really just extensions to AutoCAD. So if you've got Civil 3D or Map 3D, then you might well find that there are some hotfixes on that AutoCAD link as well. So it is worth looking at all of those. We've got one for recap on there too. What's also good about the desktop app, it's not just about enhancements to the functionality and fixes to issues that have been found. There are also some learning videos and articles, and if you were to click on the plus, then it takes you to the Autodesk website to go and have a look at some additional ones there. I'm just going to bring up the learning videos link here. So just go back to the new AutoCAD tools page here. In fact, what you will find if you go to this resource, you'll see there's a number of videos and various articles on here, and I've just gone to the link for new. They've got 8 little bits of information about what's new in here. So Print Studio, for example, talking about migrating the settings there, the personalized element for the migration, and some of the other information here. So it's a great way to access new content and learning resources online. Okay, so let's just go back to the PowerPoint here. Find my mouse, click on that. Okay, so that's the desktop app. Do remember that's accessed from the Windows system tray. So importing PDF files, really the big wow here is this area down the bottom. And they've been making a lot of improvements here. I was trying to go back through my 2016 notes for the equivalent webinar that were held last year. And I have to say I thought I'd seen this, but what they are really working on is the ability to bring what are just dots in the PDF file and bring them in as geometry and create geometry from those. And it's actually the bottom tick box there, which hasn't got a tick in it, so the label there, infer line types from collinear dashes. So any dash line type that you find in your PDF file, it normally is a line that's just got a dashed line style. And AutoCAD can now infer the line type and create a line type from that so that you don't end up with just a lot of individual dashes. But it will also be able to join line and arc segments to create polylines and so on. And I like the convert solid fills to hatches, so they are immediately editable within AutoCAD. And if you remember your hatches these days, if you happen to delete the boundary that was used to create the hatch, or indeed it's lost its associativity with the boundary, now just selecting a hatch essentially recreates that, and you've got all of that functionality there to edit your hatch very straightforwardly using the grip edit. Coordination model improvements, again, as I mentioned, they are continuously improving the connectivity and interoperability with Navisworks to support the BIM process. BIM isn't really about software, it is more about the process that you have within the organization, and it is that connection from the design stage through to whole life asset management. So Navisworks, as I mentioned, it can consume a lot of different file types, whether that be SolidWorks or I've got a list somewhere, but MicroStation, all sorts of different designs, Revit indeed. For example, MicroStation tends to be used in the rail industry, and many of the utilities use MicroStation as well. And that obviously produces design files that can be opened up in Navisworks, and all those different designs can be coordinated together. Now, the Navisworks files, they're saved either as an NWC or an NWD. One of them are much larger, and the other contains all of the information, not just external references to the various design drawings, can now be opened up back in AutoCAD. That's been the case for some releases, but we can snap to the geometry now and therefore actually use those coordination models to create new geometry at the design stage. So it's providing an element of connection back from your digital model, your BIM model, back into AutoCAD, back to the design stage. Okay, so let's go on to the redesign dialogues. Now, there are a lot of them now. I'm not going to go through all of them, but one of the things that you'll notice first up is the file dialog. Incidentally, resizing the dialogues and enabling dialogues to be resized was the number 3 AUGI wishlist item. AUGI is strictly is an acronym. When you talk about something like the FBI, that's actually an initialism. The word initialism is an older word than acronym. FBI is the initials, but AUGI is AUGI, the Autodesk User Group International. When you make it into a word like OPEC and you pronounce it as a word, that is truly an acronym. Anyway, that's something I learned recently. So on the file dialog here, whether you be opening a file or saving a file, you'll see that the drawing thumbnail preview is a little bit bigger. Now, it's not a huge deal bigger, but it now is the same size as you see the thumbnails within Windows Explorer. So Windows Explorer has been able to see the largest file thumbnail that's saved with your drawing. So it's great now to see that Autodesk have enabled the largest size to be viewable as well. So it's an incremental change. It's not a great deal of difference, but it will enable you to better select the right drawing. Now, of course, that file dialog is resizable, and most of these dialogues now are also persistent. Anybody listening to me back at the office will know that I really want to let out a great big cheer here, because if I move a dialogue somewhere on screen and I make it a particular size, I'd like it to stay that way next time I use it. So that persistence in the size and the location of a dialogue is something they've worked on very hard as well. So here now you can see the insert dialog. I will just pop back into AutoCAD here. It's very clear, I think you can see that the drawing thumbnail again, or the block thumbnail, is a lot larger. It's now been repositioned, and the story here really is that Autodesk understand that people have much higher resolution screens than previously was the case. So just to exploit that higher resolution and see and make use of it is a good thing. So if I just pop into a drawing here that I've got available to me, I will just go and find that on my system here. Great. It's not actually on my sheet set, but you can see I've managed to pick that off the history. Those of you who've been with me at either user groups or these presentations before will know that I love sheet sets. They are enormously powerful, but even if you just use them to have a quick link to open a drawing, then they are a great, great tool as well. So the insert dialog. Something that was introduced a release or two ago were galleries. So if you haven't seen these because perhaps you're on 2014, then they are a great way to access content. There are a lot of blocks in this drawing, and I have clicked on that insert link at the very top there. So it just does take a moment to populate it. So we can make that gallery larger. You can see you get very good, easy access to the content. Nice little thumbnail on that. Now down the bottom here, this is new in 2017, is a link to the insert command. There is a system variable, I think, which makes the galleries turn on and off. I think it's called something like gallery view, but if you turned it off, then you didn't get the gallery, but you did get the insert dialog. So it was kind of not always what you wanted. Sometimes it would be, sometimes it wouldn't. So here I can resize that. You see it goes a funny shape as I make it long, but it will just regenerate that geometry on the fly as we go. Some of these perhaps don't have, I don't know why that's not showing me geometries here, but so I'll just go pop down to the bottom here. You can see we've got various different geometries available to us, the various different blocks in our drawing. There is also an autocomplete, so if I type 3, just hit the letter 3 on the keyboard, then it's giving me some autocomplete there. Again, it's about getting to your content very, very quickly. Okay. So what I really like is this persistence across sessions. Here in front of you, you can see the enhanced attribute editor. Well, they're not, they haven't taken the opportunity to call it the enhanced attribute editor, but that indeed is what it is because of that persistence across sessions. And I'm just going to pop back to AutoCAD again, open up one of my other drawings. It's actually a sign drawing on here. So let's just get rid of the recovery manager there and go to the drawing. I've forgotten where that is. Maybe I actually do know where it is, but you can see that just by double-clicking on the sheet set manager there, I can access that content very, very quickly. So there is a command, it's ATTEDIT, @edit. In fact, it's just the @edit one. So I did actually picture the dialog there, which is the enhanced attribute editor. But what I wanted to show you was the other version of that. Probably you'll be familiar with this. They've gone from 8 attributes now to 15. This isn't resizable in the sense that I can add additional rows to that. It won't let me move that dialog up and down, expand it up and down, but obviously left and right if I had some very long text in these attributes. But going from 8 to 15, you can see clearly exploits the higher resolution screens that people are using. What most people will be familiar with nowadays is the ability to just simply double-click on an attribute with a block with attributes, and this is the size that it would have come in previous versions of AutoCAD. So I find myself constantly going, I want that bigger, maybe I'll go to the corner grip and make it bigger like that. And then next time you start AutoCAD up, it would go back to its smaller size. So I really appreciate this because it's something that we often will see, particularly with our products where you've got blocks with a lot of attributes in there. So that persistence is something that I really want to shout about, put a great big exclamation mark on there within my PowerPoint slide. So here's another dialog which they've exploited by making a little bit more room in that top white area. This is the one on the left, actually. This isn't a before and after with AutoCAD 2017 on the right and earlier versions on the left. It's actually 2017 on the left, and they've got more room there for the list of groups that you might have in your drawing. This actually is taken from our Key Lights product. We use groups extensively, and particularly with the grid of light values. So you might have a grid that's maybe 50 by 50, so you have 2,500 dots or crosses at each light value and 2,500, have I done the maths there correctly? Yes, 2,500 values as well. So a lot of information that would, a lot of objects that would take quite a lot to delete particularly if you've got other objects that you don't want to delete underneath. So we create a group of those that makes it very easy to select them as if they were one, but they can be deleted as well. So on the right is our version of this. So you can see for some years now we've had more rows to enable the longer list of groups to be shown, but we also add some functionality on there. So it's great to see Autodesk catching up with some of the things that we've needed for our customers and produced for our customers as in previous releases of our products. So the next thing really to look at here is the hidden message settings. You'll all be familiar by now, I think, with these messages that come up that then say, that give you the opportunity to say, oh, don't show this one to me again. So let's show you that. Now this is nicely demonstrated if I just turn off the pick first variable there. That allows me to select or pick an object first. Let's just pick one, like the detail of information there for the posts and foundations. Now if I hit the delete key on my keyboard, it's essentially saying, well, you haven't got pick first on, so you don't really, it doesn't really work for you to select the objects, to pick the objects first and then decide what you want to do them. I hit the delete key on the keyboard, and that's what's prompted this message. Now, there are some messages that you'll find that say, don't show me this again, or in this case, it's always perform my current choice. So if I say, yes, okay, I always want to turn on pick first if it happens to be off. But that then is something that happens in the background that is unseen to you. And you might forget that that behavior has now been changed. So if I go into the options dialog here, just typing OP on the command line, there's one of my command aliases that I like to migrate. Actually, it's a default one that comes with AutoCAD, but certainly I'm sure some of you will be setting up your own command aliases. So on the System tab here, we've got the Hidden Message Settings dialog. That was pictured in the PowerPoint slide. So here we are, I've got the delete key on there, Design, Share, Publish options. That's another one which has appeared in this list because I've ticked the box. The first time you go into this dialog, I believe there'll be nothing on here. But it's only as you tick the boxes, this eventually will get quite a longer list at least. So you can say, you know, I want all of these just to come back, reset them essentially. So I put a check, the American term for a tick, into the messages to show by ticking on that top level of the branch structure. So that's a nice little addition to the UI to be able to reset those settings for yourself. So there's the dialog you see in the slide, and geographic location was one on there that had not appeared within the options dialog as I just showed it within AutoCAD. Security settings, that's something that has been changing over the last few releases. It is possible to add a digital signature to your dialogues now. So on the left-hand side, 2015, although we're seeing the password tab to add a password so that people can't open your drawing without adding the right password, the other tab there labeled Digital Signature allows you to sign a drawing. So if you do send it out to another organization, they know absolutely that it has come from you. Now, digital signatures are in a different place now. There is a command, digital sign, and that's something that I can show you shortly if we have a little bit of time. So the changes last year and a little bit of an enhancement this year are that the security options, the dialog that's shown is redesigned. You've got something that's a little bit more familiar to Windows users with a slider there to set the level of security. And in 2017, the trusted locations, which is the path, the folder on your system, from which any additional functionality can be loaded. So trusted locations, that's where you would put any custom ARXs if you happen to have them, or Lisp if you have those, and you won't get a warning then that says, are you sure you want to load this? You can place those in your trusted locations. So that's something that you can interact with here. In 2016 it was just shown as a list, I believe. So we'll come to Design Share. That's something that is really a great new feature. And it is really Autodesk exploiting the functionality on the cloud. So something that I'm sure you'll want to take advantage of. It's fine, obviously you can publish to PDFs and you can email those, but actually you can just email a link. So let's show you that in the last part of the demo. Again, you can see the tick box at the bottom there, always perform my current choice. Not a don't show me this again, because depending on whether you click the publish and display or publish and notify, that will be what is performed later on. Once that's done, then you do get a little notification on the status bar, the bottom right-hand corner of the AutoCAD window, saying that that design view is now uploaded. Don't hold your breath with those. They do take some time. Sometimes. I was doing this last night on a slower internet connection, and it seemed to be a lot quicker than I expected. But it's something that you probably have time to go and get a cuppa, or it's something that you'll just be able to wait for. So it's not instantaneous. But what it does do is will actually show the design views in your drawing and pop them up onto a cloud server, and all you're doing is linking someone to that in their browser. A couple of things just want to show you though before we go. We've got this drawing here, before we finish, is the PDF import side of things, and then also we'll finish off on the design view, but there's a couple of other things I want to add with that as well. So here we have a drawing. I'll just roll up my sheet set manager so that it's just over to the side. I don't really want to pop that into the side, so hold down the control key while I'm moving it, so it just rolls away once it's paused. Come on, okay, that's it. So you can see this drawing. This is one we actually showed last year. There's some great enhancements to dimensions where it automatically cuts them in two if you dimension something and place it over another one. But this drawing is something that I could quite easily produce as a PDF. Remember, when you go into the plot dialog, some of you probably have a PDF plotter. There's something which many people use called Qt PDF. You've got to do not show me this again, so I'm going to just go to continue to plot a single sheet. Just wanted to come in here actually just to remind you that there is an Autodesk driver, and we talk about them as being drivers. When we plot to a printer, we have a printer driver. It's the way that Windows learns how to communicate with the printer. So we talk about this as being a plotter or printer driver as well. One from Autodesk called DWG to PDF, and that does give you the richness of the PDF there. And you've got some options on that. So there's a few enhancements that have come in over the last couple of releases in terms of creating PDFs. Now, having done that, then the thing that we can very easily demonstrate is showing how that PDF is imported. There is actually a PDF import command. Just recognize those who haven't had the benefit of releases of AutoCAD 2016, 15 and 14 over the last 2 or 3 years as we've gone through. There is a PDF import command, and that enables the import of just a polygonal or rectangular area. So that is a little bit more refined. But if I go to the import command there and just show that we've got a lot of different file types, so CATIA, and Inventor and so on, lots of different file types can be brought in. On the PDF side, I think if I go to my demos folder here, I've got one that I created previously from my dimension plan. And if I select that, it brings up a dialog relevant to PDFs. So here you can see the image of the PDF, the preview of that. Here's the area at the bottom which I talked about inferring line types from collinear dashes. Maybe convert solid fills to hatches as well. We've got further options on here, again, in terms of the images that are saved. This is all about extracting images that are in your PDF, because essentially what you want is all the content from the PDF, and it will extract images to the folder there that's specified. So if I just click OK on that and have that have a think for me. Here's the drawing. So we've got a hatch over here. It's a solid fill. If I just click on that, you can see that although I don't think this is an associative hatch, a little message up there saying edit non-associative boundary. So I still have access to change the extent of the hatch should I want it. Just undo that change. And also you can see in here that it's actually created lines out of these dashed line types. PDFs are really essentially just a series of dots, really, what's known as a raster image, but it's been able to create a line type from those. And this one over here, you can see the new as in 2015 and 16 highlighting now, where it's not giving you the dotted line type that we used to have for many, many, many years. It's this sort of blue sheen that it gives. It's actually joined these lines together. This one, unfortunately, it didn't manage to join. And if I zoom in, right in on that, let's just zoom window on there, so it brings that into view. You're just about to be able to see that those lines are not exact. So I'm just going to go into the folder which contains my PDF, and we'll just actually open that. I can show you in the PDF view. I find a little bit of a struggle to zoom into these things. I would really just like to use my wheel mouse in a PDF file, but it's not so straightforward here. So if I just zoom right in on that little bit again, you can see eventually that the PDF was created from a drawing in which those lines didn't join. I'm not really demonstrating that very, very well here, but eventually I'll be able to zoom and find that. You can see there's just a little overlap on that. Probably if I do just have a moment, I might just be able to open up the dimension plan, which I do have open. And if I zoom in on the AutoCAD side of things, you can see it's pretty much recreated almost exactly the same geometry as came from the original drawing. That blue line, incidentally, is on a layer that is not included in the plot. Okay, one thing that I can demonstrate on this drawing as well, before we go to the publish, the sharing design views. So the thing to just show you here with these dotted line types is something that I actually think is a great new feature now. Let's just turn I love the command layer off. I'm just going to pick that object there to turn the layer off. Let's pick those to just clarify the drawing a little bit here. So actually there's a little LT gap selection, a little system variable there, which I think I have enabled, in fact. By default, that is not enabled. So I'm just going to effectively return it back to old style behavior. So 2017, brand new here. If you were trying to select an object and you were trying to cross an area where there's a gap in this line type, let me just remind you that this is a single line there. You can see the grip for that line is in the middle of a gap. And if I was to use a selection box that crossed the gap, then it wasn't previously possible to select that line type. And what you probably have to do is zoom out, or you just make a bigger box, of course. But sometimes you have these gaps and you just simply, because of the view you've got, you're not able to select them except through the gap. The other area would be if you were drawing a line and you wanted it to start from a point, I'm just going to use the keyboard shortcut NEA for nearest, then you'll find that you can very easily snap to a point nearest to a specific end or middle point, but you can't snap to that in the middle there. One thing you get, probably if I can just enable this, will be something, I want to have a line which is joined, which I'm not sure I can find one. Okay, well let's just do a very, very quick demo of fillet, and my setting there for radius is 0, so I'm going to fillet that line with that line, and it's able to join them. No, it isn't. Okay, it's fillet. Oh, yes, there's a mode, I think. So let's just poly edit and join that. But like to just make the demonstration here where you've got a gap at the end of a line. So let's just join those, and we'll come out to the command. So I think I've now got those joined. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so one thing that you may be aware of is the ability for the line type generation to follow the line or not, so that the whole can sometimes end up on a corner. Okay, so I think it's the line type generation off that no, I'm not able to demonstrate that. So there are some situations where you'll find that the gap actually comes on the corner. And that's where you can't snap, say, to the end point here. You can't snap to a point that's in the middle of a gap. So let's just go back and remind you of the system variable there. It's called line type gap selection, LT gap selection. If I re-enable that, as soon as I'm selecting this object by just crossing the gap and not the line itself, then you can see that that is enabled. And if I zoom right in on here and start drawing a line and type my keyboard shortcut for nearest, then I can actually find that there is a point in the middle of a gap that I can snap to. And a little bit of magic here, if I zoom right out here, you can see I can find a nearest object snap to that line. I just really wanted to leave that line slightly in view, bottom right there, to show that it isn't complete magic. It's not just snapping to something that is maybe black, and I can't see that on the black background. So this is all about enabling the gaps in line types, making sure that AutoCAD can see them as if they were a continuous line type. Okay, so back to the sort of final feature I wanted to show you today is the online design share. Great with the autocomplete and the searching there. You can see that online design share is one of the options, one of the commands that matches that pattern of the word I've typed so far. So online design share enables the sharing of the drawing itself. So you do get some activity here. It will upload the file. It's something that will happen for the drawing as a whole. It says take a few moments, but as I warned, it can take a little while. So do just make sure that you don't need it instantly. Give yourself a little bit of time for that to appear. So I'm actually not going to wait for that. What I could do, I think I've seen a link previously where it says email me when it's complete. Oh, that has taken very little time overall. I'm very pleased about that. So although I'm zoomed in on the drawing, it's not sharing that view, it's sharing the whole drawing. You can zoom with your wheel mouse. By the way, it's the reverse. I normally would be wheeling my mouse back to zoom out, but at the moment I'm zooming the wheel towards me to zoom in. It's like Google Earth used to be when it was first produced. So this is about sharing that design view very straightforwardly. This particular drawing actually doesn't have any views in it. So I've got one that I did earlier. Here is this Chevrolet drawing that was the subject of last year's presentation. Some great render tools now. You've got some photography that can be, your model can be placed against, and we showed the Chevy rendered against a plaza. So I've just taken this drawing again, and this does have some views in here. So we've got a 2D view as well. That's the model view, but some 3D views have been saved as well, so I can very quickly switch to those. This may be about the complexity of the model, actually. So this, whoops, that's just zoomed in too much there. This Chevrolet is actually a nicely rendered view in this one here, so it's just regenerating that. I can move that around very straightforwardly. We've got a view there, C1, a close-up here. We've got various different positions that have been saved, initial view. Yep. So it's enabling you to be able to share the content of your designs just online. People don't have to have any Autodesk product at all. This is all hosted up on the cloud. So the last couple of things to just mention, just to tie that up really before I invite questions, is that this Autodesk 360, this cloud functionality, is all available for you right within the product. So although I've typed the command, really just to show you that autocomplete, which is a nice feature that's come in the last few releases, here we have the Share Design View link here, various other bits and pieces on that. So that's something that you can get directly from within the product without needing to know the commands. The A360 ribbon tab there. You can see there's a setting which is now turned on. There's a blue sheen around that Sync My Settings button. So I'll just go to the Sync Settings dialog. We can choose which settings are synchronized, so maybe the options that I want, the customization files. A lot of things can be synchronized up to the cloud so that when you log on another machine, that those are all set up for you and available very straightforwardly. The sync functionality or the login functionality is up here on the top where we've got the A360 link here. You can either go straight to the settings that I have just shown you, or I've just picked on the wrong one here, which is confusing me. So the online options for that, or you can sync the settings with the cloud. That tick box there is against here. If I actually go to the 360 drive, this again is a browser-based thing, and I think if I just go back to this dialog here and sort by last modified, I should see the Key Lights demo and some of the other demo drawings that I have saved up to the web. That Keylights demo one is one that I was going to see if I needed to show you for this presentation here. Okay, so that's great. The last couple of things I wanted to just remind you was, remember those excellent learning tools that are available. The Start tab here gives you access to that as well. So just clicked on Learn at the bottom and that slides it away there. So you've got the AutoCAD New Features overview. You can pick up some of the points that I've made today. And some great getting started videos, a lot of videos available to you, some feature videos here, some great content there. And they do include tips and tricks, but I also wanted to recommend, just finally leave you with this, with the technical evangelist for Autodesk. Now Lynn Allen, is the technical evangelist for Autodesk products as a whole, so she's actually great for tips and tricks on not just AutoCAD, but she is a brilliant presenter. I'm afraid I do sometimes crib the way that she presents. I've learned a lot over the years from her. So Lynn Allen's blog is a fantastic resource for just learning those little tips and little tricks from AutoCAD and other products. One of them I picked up recently was this multiple command there, which I thought was fabulous. It's something that they do say in the preview for the new version of AutoCAD, is there is a new option in the text edit command. You can see probably there that the text edit command actually reports the mode that it's in. So it's currently in multiple mode, which means that command will just repeat. So you edit a piece of text, you finish editing, and it will then invite you to select another annotation object. And we'll just repeat multiple times until you press enter. But the multiple command actually works like that anyway, so any command that you want to repeat, so to save you going up to the menu again and again, you just type multiple. Let's just actually type that correctly. Can I type that correctly? Yep. And then whatever command it might be, so it might be the line command, you pick a few points for the line, press enter, and then we're back in the line command. So press enter to finish that, and we're back into line command. It just repeats that until you hit the escape key. So yeah, great. Thanks for spending the time with me today. I will open up for questions. By all means, use the chat window or the questions window, and also unmute yourself if you prefer to do that. So just commend you to these webinars. We'll be presenting the same thing at the user groups on the 15th and 16th of June, 16th for those landscape users, 15th for the traffic people. And hopefully it's all good information. There's plenty online from Autodesk and from Autodesk's technical evangelist, one of my favorite presenters. Thanks again.